How can moral politics fix international law for refugee crises? Have you ever wondered how moral principles can reshape the way we handle refugee crises through international law? It's a pressing issue that affects millions around the globe. Let's break it down. Moral politics can play a vital role in improving international law regarding refugees. By embedding ethical principles into legal frameworks, we can ensure that countries act not just out of self-interest but also out of a sense of moral duty toward those in need. This means integrating moral obligations with the political realities that nations face. Currently, international law protects refugees through treaties like the 1951 Refugee Convention. This convention sets legal standards for asylum seekers and the principle of non-refoulement, which means not returning refugees to danger. However, enforcing these laws can be challenging. International law often relies on the consent of states and lacks a central authority to enforce compliance. This creates a conflict between a nation's right to control its borders and the moral obligation to protect human rights. Moral politics addresses this conflict by emphasizing that states have a fiduciary duty toward refugees. This means they must act as guardians for vulnerable individuals, not just pursue narrow national interests. When states violate these moral duties, their claims to legitimacy are weakened. From the intersection of ethics and politics, moral politics advocates for a balance between global justice and national interests. While states must prioritize their citizens, they also have to respect strict moral limits that prevent harm to refugees. So, how can moral politics fix international law for refugee crises? Here are some practical steps. First, we need stronger international cooperation based on shared ethical commitments. This can encourage countries to share the burden of refugee protection rather than acting alone. Second, we should enhance accountability mechanisms. States must be held responsible for violations of refugee rights, not just through legal penalties but also through moral and political accountability. Third, we can create policy frameworks that combine different ethical approaches. This means considering the outcomes of actions, following moral rules, and evaluating intentions, actions, and consequences when protecting refugees. Finally, we must recognize that moral rhetoric in international relations is essential. It can help build trust and cooperation among nations, aligning self-interest with moral imperatives. By embedding ethical duties into legal norms and political practices, moral politics can transform international refugee protection into a more coherent system. This system would be grounded in shared moral responsibility and political will, making refugee protection a moral political commitment rather than just a legal obligation.